Hey, now what is this organization all about? Everybody is a publicist at heart. And there are professional publicists like myself in this organization. And it's great for publicists. And our next winner is the Publicist of the Year. Publicist of the Year. And she has a great reputation. She has really done a great job in the world of PR. Everybody knows her. She spoke at this meeting a couple of months ago, and it was great. Her name is Kathleen Kaiser, and she began as a music journalist, believe it or not, and she segued into the entertainment world. When we give her this award as the Publicist of the Year, it's not just for the books that she promotes and the events that she promotes, the seminars and so on, and the conferences. She's in the wide spectrum of publicizing in the entertainment world, in the business world, and so on. So she has made the great transition from entertainment to the book industry. And she'll tell us more about what she's doing, what's coming up. She's got a big event in November. I hope there's still room for some of you who might be interested in attending the conference. So can you come up here, please? Kathleen Sexton Kaiser. Kathleen, come up. You're familiar with this thing. She came all the way in from Ventura County. A hell of a trip. So here's your award, Kathleen.
Thank you, Irwin. And I want to thank the book Publicists for this award. I was trying to put a speech together today, and it's like, I've written these for so many other people, and what do you write about yourself? It's kind of hard. So, how did I get here? As he said, I've had a long journey. It started when I was 15, and I called the DJ and told him he was wrong about this band. They weren't a bunch of bugs. The Beatles were actually a tribute name to Buddy Holly and the Crickets, and that was in April of '63. I ended up with the 11th chapter of the National Beatle Fan Club in San Diego. I ended up doing protest march and getting in to meet the mayor and being on the front page of the newspapers, having a friend try and jump off the bridge at Balboa Park because Ringo wouldn't marry her. At 16, you don't really know they're going to come and take you to the mental hospital. It was a little of a challenge, but we did all of these things. And one night, because I had 1,000 girls in the club, I became Miss Fan Club President, whoever the band was coming to town. The promoters would give me 50 or 100 bucks. I'd give the girls a quarter for bus fare, and they could come and scream. And so one night, I'm backstage at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, and the Beau Brummels, a San Francisco band that were trying to pretend they were English, drive up in these two big stretch limos, and this woman gets out, and she's got this blonde, this is 1960, beginning of 65, and she's got this blonde hair all wrapped up in a big French platinum blonde twist, big diamond earrings, long red fingernails, tall stilettos, but what caught my eye was the floor-length fox fur coat. And she goes, "Who's the promoters?" And so these guys come up, and the fellow from the radio station who was standing next to me, they went over, they talked, and she goes, "Okay, no meet and greet till after the show. All right, come on, boys, get out and go." And I go over to Glenn from the radio station. "Who's that?" And he goes, "That's their publicist." He goes, "That's what you do. Once you go get out of college, you could go be a publicist." And I'm going, I could have that coat. Well, I didn't wait to get out of college. I actually dropped out of San Diego State, moved up at 18, and moved up to West Hollywood. And by 20, I had my own suite of offices at 9000 Sunset. I was running the West Coast office of the Goldstein Organization. We had Jimi Hendrix 10 years after, Led Zeppelin, the Fillmores. It all crashed and burned at Woodstock, but it was a lot of fun. And from there I went on, and I spent 16 years in rock and roll, worked for 3 record labels, worked with everybody on the West Coast that there was. worked for personal management firms like with Shep Gordon and Alice Cooper and all of his people.
Wow.
And finally, my friend over here at my table, Michael, was the third record president I worked for. And it finally gave me, when the record label closed, we were a punk rock record label. When it closed, it gave me a reason to leave the business, which I hadn't really been looking for. I mean, I was 32, who wants punk rock? So I went on, and over the next 20 years, got into corporate events and got into the emerging technologies of desktop publishing and then the internet, produced conferences and trade shows all over the world, huge corporate events. And I always had someone on the staff that was handling PR, making sure we had a really good PR firm, because I realized the importance of it. And so I started doing that. And then 15 years ago, I settled down and decided in my spare time to write a novel. And I realized, well, I better get to know what's going on in publishing. And I had a friend who ran Book Expo. So she said, well, here, we've started this new online newsletter, so I'll give you a permanent subscription. And, you know, you can get the book. They've stopped mailing me copies now, but I still get the email. But I started reading it, and I realized this was a whole new world. And what Amazon, who I was buying books from madly, had really changed the dynamics. Besides what was going online and what was going on in the internet, everything had changed. So I started looking around, and in Ventura County, there's the Ventura County Writers Club. It's been around for 75 years. I joined it, and because they wrote horrible press releases, I said I can write better ones. I end up on the board of directors, then I'm president. But I'm learning, and I'm getting to know people. I'm starting to meet people. And then I had met him in 1998, Shelley Lowenkoff, who's legendary in the publishing on the West Coast. Irwin worked with him on a bunch of stuff. And Shelley and I produced a conference, a writers' conference in 2010. We said, you know, we could do better. Let's start a nonprofit and really promote professional writing levels. So we started the Pacific Institute for Professional Writing, and now we produce the 805 Writers' Conference, which some of you may see there's something on the table. This is November 5th and 6th. Irwin mentioned it. Any of you want to come? I have a thing on here with a discount. If you do it, it's good through the discount website goes down Saturday night. But if you want to come, it's really an intensive, because we're focusing on skills. One of the teachers and one of the people who helps me run the conference is literary agent Tony LaPopolo, who's here tonight with me. Thank you, Tony. And also, what I'd like to do is recognize one person who really helped me in my career was when I went to work at MCA Records, and Joan Bullard, who ended up becoming head of corporate communications there for years. She says, you're really great as a street PR, you can get the buzz out there, you can't write a damn press release. And she sat me down and she gave me a week-long course. I'd practice, she'd do it, practice, she'd do it. And I aimed to master the press release. And even today, with all the social media and all the stuff out there, a well-crafted press release still gets noticed.
Yes.
It really does. If you hear some of these young people, like 25-year-old press agents, and they say, all you need to do is media alerts. I get stories printed, word for word, that I've had in my press releases, and it still happens today, and I really do believe it. And I want to thank Joan Bullard for having, 40 years ago, sat me down and said, you're really good at this, but you can't write, and she taught me how to do it. The other people I'd really like to thank who've helped me through this journey is my friend Marie Lamar, who I've known. She and Michael are two of the people who have been with me since rock and roll. And also my dear friend and client, former client, Ivor Davis, working on his The Beatles and Me on Tour book the last 2 years has been more fun. Made me actually talk about having worked with the Beatles. I never talked about it. I never tell anybody in rock and roll we're a Beatle fan club president. But it's brought all that out, and it's been a lot of fun. I really want to thank you, Ivor, for doing that. I have a few things, and including one of the organizations. This is a national organization, the Small Publishers, Artists, and Writers Network, and I have some pamphlets on it. I'm president of it, and I really want to help you, really, because my job is to help people. But thank you for this. I really appreciate it, and thank you.
Kathleen, thank you very much for all the work you do, and keep us posted on what's happening.